Hello, Primary 7. Now, the last 2 days you have been looking at a science experiment. You've hopefully worked through one or at least watched the video of one. You've had a think about scientific language with your work within Education City, and you've had a look at the matter, the difference between solid, liquid, and gases, and the particle differences within the Oak Academy activity that I set for you. So you're really well prepared for this next task, which is to write up your science report. Now, a science report actually is a relatively simple thing to report on because you're sharing all of the different facts that have happened within your experiment, but also you're sharing them in a particular order. And that order always stays the same. So even when you work in the Perth Academy with a science report writing, it will be in a similar or exactly the same template and certainly in the same order. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through that. What I've given you today is a template to work on. You can edit this, absolutely fine, but I've also given you a short written explanation of what I'm expecting within your science report today. Okay. So the first thing that you'll need to write is a title. Now, a title will explain a little bit about your experiment. It's not a story title, so I don't want huge, creative, interesting, witty puns and alliterations. I want a really simplistic and very simple explaining of what it is your science experiment was about to do. Yeah, what it is you were trying to find out. So, for example, you could have, is oobleck a solid, liquid, or a gas? A solid or a liquid, sorry. Or you could have the effect of salt on ice, for example, if you were doing the ice cream experiment. Really think about what it is scientifically you were trying to find out. Even if you're having great fun, and I really, really hope that you all have, I would like to see the scientific title. Okay. So the second thing you need to think of is your purpose or your introduction. Now, you can call it either, you don't have to call it both. So your introduction will include an explanation of why you are doing this experiment. Okay, so you have to think back to before. It's a little bit like your prediction, although it's different to your prediction. The purpose behind your experiment. So why you're going to be doing it. Now, I'm expecting a short paragraph, which, as we all know, is at least 3 sentences. I'm expecting a detailed explanation of what it was you were trying to find out. Now, for everybody, unlike in a classroom situation, because I've shared this as a home learning task, what my expectation from you is that you have a look at the instructions that I gave to you. And actually, there's a really good set of introduction or purpose sentences there, what the purpose of this experiment was. What I'd like you to do, however, though, is to think about rewriting this in your own words. Because if I'm just getting a lot of copying and pasting, or if I feel like I'm just reading exactly the same thing over and over again, I'm not going to be really impressed, Primary 7. So please think about rewriting this in your own words and have an understanding of what the point of it was scientifically. Okay. So your third thing is your prediction. Now, you have already written this, and this should be at least 2 sentences, if not a little bit more. You've already written this, so I shouldn't have to go into detail about this because this was part of your lesson earlier this week. Okay, so you're simply cutting and pasting your prediction, rewriting it out on that third part of your science experiment, your science report, sorry. Number 4, your materials. Now, this is really simple as well. You are simply writing the word materials and then writing a list of the materials that you needed. Now, this you can copy and paste, okay, or cut or rewrite the materials that you used, because actually there's no different way to write these out. They, in the Science Museum instructions, they have lovely diagrams. I'm just expecting the words, okay? So you needed gloves, you needed an ice filled ice cube trays, you needed flavored milk, for example. Yeah, so you're listing them just in bullet points in a list underneath the word materials. Okay. Number 5, you are now writing out the method. Now this I would like in your own words. You are going to explain step-by-step instructions as if you were trying to explain for somebody else to do it. Now you might have found out that there was a particular way that oobleck could be mixed to create the best results. Or you might have worked out that to start off you needed to make sure that the ice cubes had been in the freezer for at least 3 hours. Okay, so be really specific with your detailed step-by-step instructions. So I am looking for step 1. I made sure my area was prepared, I had all my resources out, and that my ice cubes had been in the freezer for at least 3 hours. Step 2. I made sure that I had lots of different resources and that I measured specifically the flavoured milk in the measuring jug. Okay, I'm looking for really specific instructions as if you're telling somebody to do this who hasn't experienced it before. Okay, number 6. Now, this is a little bit tricky. This is when I'm really looking for you to think about all the learning you've done over the last 2 days. You can have a look at your instructions that you got from the Science Museum instruction list. But I'd also like you to think about what Miss Coos was saying in the Oak Academy lesson. And I'd also like you to think about some of the language that you learnt on Education City. And this is where we're going to pull it all together. This is the main science learning. So you're going to think, what happened? But also, what does this mean scientifically? So why did it happen? What happened with the matter? Was it a chemical reaction? Or did it change from a liquid and a solid? Why? I'd really like you to focus, if anything today, your energy on that part there and work out what happened in your experiment scientifically. Now, I'm happy, Primary 7, for you to Google search that. Why does oobleck, why does it work as a solid sometimes, as a liquid sometimes? Okay, I'd like you to think about and use some of the scientific language which I'm going to pull together and I'm sharing with you today as a word bank. Okay, so think about that, how you're going to include your scientific understanding of the experiment within this question, this part number 6, okay, your results and your discussion. Okay, and finally, you're going to share, a conclusion. Now, actually, your conclusion is much shorter than your discussion. So don't go explaining lots and lots at the end. Really, all it is that you're thinking about were your predictions accurate and what might have affected those predictions. Okay, so maybe your the balloon didn't expand. Why did it not work? What happened in your experiment, do you think, reflecting on that? Why did that happen? Why did it not happen? Or it's expanded too much that it shot out the top. Maybe you measured inaccurately, and maybe next time you would reflect on making sure that you are really specific with your measurements. Something like that, Primary 7. Okay, I am looking for a few sentences here, not just one sentence saying it worked out. Yeah. So, Primary 7, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let you get on with your science report. Please read all the resources that I've given to you because they're there to help you. I'm expecting excellent work, but you to share with me your experiences of your own experiments.